Understanding the complexities of HDB flat inheritance in Singapore. Inheriting a HDB flat in Singapore can be a complex process, influenced by numerous factors such as the existence of a legitimate will, the co-ownership status of the HDB flat, and whether the beneficiary already possesses a property. It is important to understand HDB inheritance rules and the implications on your ownership to organize and protect your affairs. Before transferring ownership of an HDB flat, the proposed owners must satisfy certain criteria laid down by the HDB as of May 2023. These include: there is a change in the existing family structure, such as divorce, marriage or demise of an owner, or the current owners need to perform an ownership change to retain the flat. The proposed owners must be an immediate family member of the current owners, such as the spouse, parents, children, or siblings. The proposed owners, both remaining and incoming, and occupiers staying in the flat must be able to take over ownership of the flat under one of the existing eligibility schemes. The proposed owners must be at least 21 years old and either a Singapore citizen, SC, or a Singapore permanent resident, SPR, with another owner or occupier who is an SC or SPR. Owners of private property can take over the ownership of an HDB flat if they fulfill certain conditions. The proposed owners should not own another HDB flat, DBSS flat, or EC unit. It's crucial to remember that these conditions are subject to change, and for the most current rules, one should refer to the HDB's official website. This comprehensive guide aims to provide clear insights into HDB flat inheritance, focusing on eligibility conditions, types of ownership, and potential complications. 1. Influence of religion on HDB flat inheritance. Religious beliefs can significantly impact the inheritance of HDB flats. The laws vary for followers of Islam and other religions. For Muslim individuals, in the absence of a will, the flat's allocation will be governed by Sharia law faraid. If a will exists, only 1/3 of the property can be bequeathed, with the remaining 2/3 divided according to faraid. For non-Muslim individuals, the Intestate Succession Act applies in the absence of a will, which provides guidelines for HDB flat ownership. If a will exists, it must be proved and executed under probate, with the process overseen by a designated trustee or executor in compliance with the Probate and Administration Act. 2. Understanding ownership types and HDB flat inheritance. To understand how different types of ownership impact HDB flat inheritance, it's useful to look at some typical scenarios. Scenario 1. Sole ownership. If a non-Muslim individual is the sole owner of a flat and has not left a will, the property will be sold and the proceeds divided amongst the spouse and children. If the individual is unmarried with no children but has living parents, the parents will inherit the flat. If the individual is single with no living relatives, the property goes back to the government. Scenario 2. Joint tenancy. In a joint tenancy, all co-owners possess an equal stake in the flat. If a co-owner dies, their share is automatically transferred to the surviving eligible owners, regardless of the existence of a will. Scenario 3. Tenancy in common. Under a tenancy in common arrangement, each owner has a separate stake in the HDB flat. If one owner dies, their share is transferred as per inheritance laws, and not automatically to the surviving owners. 3. Navigating the HDB flat inheritance process. When an HDB flat co-owner passes away, several considerations come into play. It is advisable to engage a lawyer to ensure compliance with the inheritance process. If the deceased was a joint tenant, the surviving owner must lodge a notice of death with the Singapore Land Authority, SLA. If the deceased owned the property under a tenancy in common, the family should approach a lawyer to obtain a grant of probate. 4. Considerations for beneficiaries owning private property or another HDB flat. If the beneficiary already owns private property, they can assume ownership of an HDB flat subject to certain conditions. If the beneficiary already owns an HDB flat, they cannot be a current owner or essential occupier of another HDB flat, DBSS flat, or EC unit. 5. Potential challenges in HDB flat inheritance. If the inheritance process is carried out according to the law, it should proceed smoothly. However, informal family arrangements regarding mortgage payments can complicate matters. To avoid conflict and ensure your chosen person inherits your HDB flat, it's crucial to prepare a valid will.